Hey guys, today's lesson is about multiplying again with the powers of 10, this time using decimals. So it's similar but different from something we've already done before. Before we get started, I have a shout out to Versace from Cartemis. He says, "Thank you for always being my friend, and I hope to see you next year." All right, let's jump into today's lesson, guys. All right, here we are with the powers of 10 and decimals. So as we had learned previously, what you do when you have the powers of 10 is that you just go ahead and you add that many zeros to your problem, right? Whatever little number is attached. I see some people adding extra zeros because there's a 0 on the 10, but we're actually going to ignore that and just focus on this. I need to add 4 zeros to my 132. So I just start with 132 and add 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and that's how I get the answer. So the answer of 132 times 10 to the fourth power is 1,320,000. Okay. Same thing over here. Again, I'm ignoring this 0 and I'm only focusing on how many zeros it's telling me to add. It's telling me to add 3. So 7 times 1,000 is really what that number is. So that's how I get my 7,007 with 3 zeros. Now what we're doing today is different. It is not the same. Can you say that out loud? Not the same. Remember the rule for 1 decimal versus 2, 2, 2. Annoying yet? There's also a different rule for decimals. We don't just plop on that many zeros, and here's why. If I just take 0.6 and add 1 0 to it, this is the exact same thing as this. Just because I've added a 0 to the end does not change its value. This is 60 cents. This is also 60 cents. So I can't just do something to it, but it ends up being the same answer. So this is incorrect. I'm not just adding zeros. What I'm doing is moving the decimal. And if I move the decimal and create a hole, then I will add some zeros to fill in the holes that I created. But I'm not just adding zeros. First, I'm going to shift the decimal in this direction. And I move the decimal that many spaces based on the exponent. So again, we're ignoring this 0. We're just looking at this exponent. Okay. So I'm going to take my 0.6 and I need to move the decimal this direction 1 space. So it's in front of the 6 right now. So I'm going to move it 1 space in this direction. Now it's after the 6. Because I don't need this front 0 anymore, my answer just ends up being 6. That's where the decimal is now. Okay. You should also see that these numbers are starting to grow in this direction as we move the decimal further and further. I'll show you what I mean in just 2 seconds. This one I need to move the decimal 2 places. So I'm going to move the decimal 1 place like I did before, but I need to move it 1 more place. I can't have the 2 different problems have the same answer. That doesn't make sense. So I move it 1 more time. The decimal needs to be here. See this hole that I created in between the decimal where I moved it and the actual number I have? This is where I'm going to stick in my 0. So 6, and the next number ends up being 60. See what I mean about it's growing? Okay. This time I have to move it 3 times. 6 is right here. 1, 2, 3. This time I've created 2 gaps in my number. So I'm going to fill it in with 2 zeros, not 3. 3 means how many times you move the decimal places, not how many zeros you put in when you're doing a decimal. So this ends up being 600. All right. And the last one, I need to move the decimal place 4 places. So move it 1 place. I'm good. 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. I've created 3 gaps. So I need to use 3 zeros to fill in, not 4. Okay. So there is my new number. Same thing down below here. Just because there's more numbers in my decimal doesn't really change the process. I need to move the decimal 1 place from where it is right now, again in this direction because I'm multiplying, so I'm trying to make them into bigger numbers. So I take this, move it 1 place. So I end up with 132.5. 5. Okay. And this one, I need to move it 2 places. 1, 2. So I end up with 1, 3, 2, 5. Again, you're going to see this pattern of them growing bigger as we move down the chart. This time I need to move it 3 times. Well, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. I've created a gap. What are we going to put in the gap I created? A 0. Not putting 3 zeros. 3 means how many times you move the decimal, not how many zeros you add, because it's not regular multiplying, because these numbers don't have decimals, these guys do. 1, 3, 2, 5, 0. Here's where my new decimal is when I moved it, okay? And then, again, this time 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 wholes. So 2 zeros on my number, okay? You are not just sticking zeros on like this. You just don't add how many zeros it says in the problem. That is not the same process, okay? I move the decimal places how many times the exponent tells me to. If I end up with some holes between where I had the decimal and where I had to move the decimal, I fill those holes with zeros. How many zeros is based on how many holes, not based on the exponent. All right, guys, see you in the next one.